Roger Waters, the cerebral architect behind Pink Floyd's most iconic works, steps into the spotlight to deliver a revelation that stuns the world of rock. Known for his no-nonsense personality and unflinching honesty, Waters turns his critical gaze toward Mick Jagger, the magnetic frontman of the Rolling Stones. Waters, who has always prided himself on the depth and conceptual brilliance of his music, paints a less than flattering picture of Jagger. To him, Jagger represents the antithesis of an artist: style over substance, theatrics over meaning. The tension between these two giants of rock didn't arise overnight. Waters had long harbored disdain for the commercialization of rock music, and Jagger's larger-than-life persona embodied that very machine. Behind the glittering costumes and swaggering moves, Waters saw a calculated figure whose ambition often overshadowed any commitment to authenticity. Fans were shocked, but the revelation was just the tip of the iceberg. Jagger's career has been marked by numerous conflicts, each peeling back another layer of the complexity and drama surrounding one of rock's most enduring figures. Think of Mick Jagger and Keith Richards as two sides of the same coin. Together, they penned some of the greatest rock anthems in history, but their relationship was far from harmonious. By the 1980s, the cracks in their partnership had widened into a chasm. Jagger, ever the pragmatist, sought to modernize the Rolling Stones' sound, embracing sleek production and chasing contemporary trends. Richards, the purist, viewed this as sacrilege. Their arguments, often fueled by Jagger's solo ambitions, grew increasingly bitter. One of their most infamous riffs occurred during the recording of Dirty Work, an album steeped in tension. Richards, frustrated with Jagger's absences and perceived apathy, accused him of abandoning the band. Jagger, in turn, felt Richards was stuck in the past, unwilling to adapt. These creative differences, compounded by personal grievances, pushed their partnership to the brink of collapse. It would take years for the duo to rebuild their trust, but the scars of their battles remain etched in the band's history. Before Jagger and Richards cemented their dominance, there was Brian Jones, the visionary who gave the Rolling Stones their start. But as Jagger and Richards grew closer, Jones found himself sidelined. Picture this: a young man drowning in his own insecurities and addictions, watching helplessly as the band he founded slipped out of his control. Jagger's pragmatic leadership and growing influence over the group's direction only deepened Jones' sense of alienation. Their relationship deteriorated rapidly. Jones resented Jagger's growing authority, while Jagger grew increasingly frustrated with Jones. By 1969, the band had no choice but to part ways with their troubled founder. Jones' tragic death mere weeks later cast a shadow over the group, but Jagger, ever the professional, pushed forward. For some, it was a testament to his resilience. For others, it was a cold reminder of his relentless ambition. The rivalry between the Rolling Stones and the Beatles is legendary, but beneath the camaraderie lay a simmering tension. Jagger and Paul McCartney, both fiercely competitive, often clashed in subtle but telling ways. While the two bands maintained an air of mutual respect, Jagger's dismissive comments about the Beatles' polished image didn't go unnoticed. McCartney, in turn, once referred to the Rolling Stones as a blues cover band, a remark that struck a nerve with Jagger. Their rivalry extended beyond their bands. In their solo endeavors, both men sought to outshine the other, each vying for dominance in the post-Beatles era. Their clashes, though often indirect, reflected the broader competition between two of the most iconic groups in music history. Mick Jagger, a man who commanded the stage with magnetic energy, found that his larger-than-life presence often collided with others equally as flamboyant and uncompromising. Among those rivals was Elton John, a fellow titan of music whose sharp wit and bold personality matched Jagger's swagger. Their mutual respect as artists only barely masked a simmering tension, their egos constantly jostling for dominance in the pantheon of rock. Think of this: Elton John, never one to mince words, once dismissed the Rolling Stones as past their prime, a cutting remark that landed like a grenade in the rock world. Jagger, fiercely protective of his band's legacy, didn't take the jab lightly. While he refrained from an immediate public rebuttal, insiders reported that Jagger seethed at the slight, viewing it as not just a critique of the band but a personal attack on his role as its enduring frontman. For Jagger, whose career thrived on his ability to reinvent and remain relevant, Elton's comment was a glaring challenge to his longevity and influence. Their clash wasn't confined to music. At high-profile events where their paths crossed, the air between them was often charged with thinly veiled hostility. Imagine the tension at an exclusive gala where Jagger and Elton, surrounded by adoring fans and industry elites, exchanged barbed pleasantries. Elton's larger-than-life humor often clashed with Jagger's dry wit, creating an undercurrent of rivalry that captivated onlookers. While they shared common ground as icons of their generation, their public personas, Elton's irreverent flamboyance and Jagger's calculated cool, were in constant contrast, fueling their unspoken competition. But Jagger's clashes extended beyond the glittering world of his peers. His relationship with Ahmet Ertegun, the legendary founder of Atlantic Records, revealed a different facet of Jagger's combative nature. Ertegun, a titan in the music industry known for his charm and negotiation prowess, had guided many artists to global success. Yet even his seasoned diplomacy couldn't always match Jagger's unrelenting drive for control. The two were locked in numerous tense negotiations, particularly during the 1970s and 80s, when the Rolling Stones, Jagger, ever the shrewd businessman, bristled at any attempt by Teigen to exert influence over the band's creative output or financial decisions. Teigen, accustomed to working with even the most temperamental artists, found himself faced with a new level of resistance in Jagger. Picture the scene: a polished boardroom in Manhattan, Jagger seated across from Ertegun, each man exuding an air of confidence. While Ertegun leaned on his decades of experience to steer the discussion, Jagger met him head-on with unflinching determination. Contracts became battlegrounds, with Jagger fighting tooth and nail for every clause that would secure the band's independence. Teigen admired Jagger's tenacity, but their clashes revealed the underlying friction between two men who were masters of their respective domains. These confrontations with Elton John and Ahmet Ertegun showcased two distinct yet interconnected sides of Mick Jagger, the performer who refused to be overshadowed and the businessman who demanded control. While the public often saw him as the ultimate showman, these behind-the-scenes battles added layers of complexity to his persona. Jagger wasn't just a rock star. He was a force of nature, unwilling to yield even in the face of equally formidable opponents. It was this unrelenting drive that kept him at the forefront of the music world, even if it came at the cost of strained relationships and lingering grudges. If Mick Jagger's career was a study in rock and roll excess, his personal life was a tempestuous saga of love, betrayal, and shattered illusions. His relationships were often as headline-grabbing as his music, with every twist and turn playing out under the harsh glare of the public eye. His first marriage to Bianca Jagger was a union steeped in glamour, but beneath the surface, it was fraught with turmoil. Bianca, a Nicaraguan-born activist and socialite, was no ordinary rock star's wife. Her sophistication and fierce independence made her a magnetic presence, but they also clashed with Jagger's insatiable appetite for attention and freedom. Picture this: the couple strolling into exclusive events, Bianca draped in designer gowns, radiating elegance, while Jagger, the eternal bad boy, basked in the adoration of fans and cameras. They seemed untouchable, the embodiment of 1970s excess, but behind the glitz was a marriage unraveling. Jagger's notorious infidelity was an open secret, each affair cutting deeper into the fabric of their union. Bianca, for all her poise, struggled with the humiliation of being married to a man who seemed incapable of loyalty. The final straw came in 1978 when she filed for divorce, citing Jagger's adulterous behavior as the breaking point. Her declaration that their marriage was her biggest mistake was a devastating blow to Jagger's carefully curated image as a charismatic yet lovable rogue. But if Bianca's departure marked the end of one chapter, Jerry Hall's arrival heralded another whirlwind of drama. Hall, a Texas-born supermodel with golden locks and a magnetic smile, seemed like the perfect partner for Jagger. Their relationship, which began in the late 1970s, quickly became one of the most publicized romances of the decade. Think of the sprawling estates, glamorous parties, and picture-perfect family moments splashed across tabloids. To the outside world, they were the epitome of a rock and roll power couple. Behind the facade, however, the cracks were already forming. Jagger's infidelity didn't wane with time, it intensified. Hall, despite her beauty and charm, found herself trapped in a relationship where trust was constantly eroded by Jagger's wandering eye. His affairs were not discreet dalliances. They were public scandals. Each new revelation brought humiliation for Hall, who struggled to maintain the image of a devoted partner while privately dealing with heartbreak. The final explosive moment in their relationship came in 1999 when Hall discovered that Jagger had fathered a child with Brazilian model Luke Hanna Jimenez. It was a betrayal too great to overlook. Hall's decision to annul their marriage was swift and public, a dramatic end to a relationship that had long been teetering on the edge. For Jagger, the fallout was both personal and public, a reminder that even his seemingly limitless charm had its limits. Yet through it all, Jagger remained unapologetically himself, chasing passion and adventure with relentless fervor. His personal struggles with Bianca and Hall didn't just reflect his inability to commit, they revealed the cost of living life at full throttle. These relationships, marked by glamour and chaos in equal measure, painted a vivid picture of a man torn between his insatiable desires and the consequences they brought. For Jagger, the stage was never just a place of performance. It was a metaphor for the chaotic and dramatic life he lived, both professionally and personally. Throughout his career, Jagger was a magnet for media attention. The tabloids reveled in his scandals, from his tumultuous relationships to his clashes with bandmates and rivals. Jagger, ever the master of reinvention, often used the press to his advantage. But the constant scrutiny took its toll. His every move was dissected, his every word analyzed. For a man who thrived on control, this loss of privacy was a price he had to pay for his fame. Mick Jagger's life is a story of contradictions, a man who soared to unimaginable heights yet left a trail of conflict and controversy in his wake. From his feuds with rock's greatest icons to the personal battles that defined his relationships, Jagger's legacy is as complex as the man himself. Through it all, he has remained an indomitable force, a reminder that even the brightest stars cast shadows.